I hate that saying. The devil you know is better than the angel you don't know. What does that even mean? I have always been very, very confused as to why you would even know a devil in the first place. Like, is that not a red flag already? Because when you say the devil you know is better than the angel you don't know, you are establishing that the person you know already has devilish characteristics, but you are not really bothered about it. You are bothered about the angel you don't know. Why don't you even know an angel? On Instagram, and I saw a woman who had allegedly been killed by her husband. It was a case of continuous, domestic violence, and she succumbed to one of those fights, and she's dead now. And when her death was announced, there were a lot of people in the comment section saying things like, oh, don't die in your marriage. Marriage is not you do or die affair. It's not you do or die affair. Leave. If it's beating you, leave. Find peace. Go back to your father's house. Blah, 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 blah. But that is not actually even what shocked me. What shocked me was that days later, or I think maybe weeks later, the video that they made on the day of the wedding resurfaced online. And you know those videos whereby, before the marriage starts or before the wedding or the ceremony begins, you take maybe the groom or the bride or friends to maybe one side, and then you ask them what they're looking forward to in the marriage. You know those kind of interviews they do before the wedding? Now, let us watch what the groom said in his own segments. And that was the shocking part. So let us watch this video together, okay?
Today I'm 34 years old and I'm getting married. My wife is somewhere in there. I'll go right there and I'll pick her up and tell her, baby, you are spending the rest of your life with me. I promise to give you drama. I promise to give you problems. I promise to ensure you don't sleep well at night on the days you annoy me. And I promise to love you. When it came to my life, it came as, I know this is destiny. This is plan. This is what God wanted. And I'm going to ensure that I'll give you drama. I'll give you love in dramatic ways. I'll give you abnormal. I'll give you problems. I'll give you issues. I'll give you wahala. But you are there to make it all easy for me. So thank you for doing this for me.
The interesting thing about this particular video is that as at the time it resurfaced online, people were like, oh, he said this, he said he was going to do this, blah, 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 blah. But the truth of the matter is, this video has always been online. The wife saw it, family members saw it. But I'm very sure when they saw it, they dismissed it as, oh, he's just being real, right? You hear people say things like, oh, he's just being real, he's just saying it as it is. And I'm always very concerned why people usually attribute realness, oftentimes, to toxic, bad, and damaging behaviors, utterances, or attitudes. People always tag realness in the sense that when somebody is saying something crazy or untoward, and they'll be like, oh, chill, he's just being real, or she's just being real. They don't attribute it to when it's something that is okay. It's always when it's something that is extreme, and they'll be like, oh, he's just being real. Now, this particular video, people would have interpreted it as, oh, he's just being real. Marriage is not a bed of roses. Marriage is not always going to be like sunshine and rainbows. It's going to be fights, it's going to be misunderstanding, it's going to be issues. But hear the words he uses. Hear it. How is this normal? And the thing is that you see wives on TikToks, husbands on TikToks, on Instagram, they come and share very crazy words. And they'll say, oh, it's normal. If you're not married, you will not understand. Single people will not understand. And you say these things, and they'll say, oh, no marriage is perfect. But at the same time, it's almost like humans have a way of basically comparing their present state to the worst possible scenario. It's something that is very common. For example, if a child is drinking dairy, for example, every day, you hear the parents say, oh, there are some people that have it worse. There's some people that have not eaten anything. And so it's a kind of conscious wiring in the brain of the average person, or the average African, or the average Nigerian, or the average, European, where it looks like you oftentimes find yourself comparing what you have to the worst possible scenario and not the best possible scenario. So let me bring this into context. In marriages, you hear people say things like, oh, he's slapping you, or he's punishing you for something. But, some people have it worse. Some people actually also have it better. Like, we don't always have to go to the very extreme ends to make it okay or justify why you are in that situation. And then it will not turn back to oh, the devil is better than the angel you don't know. Like, and it's unfortunate that this woman now is gone. Like, she won't come back again. That is the finality of death. And then you see this kind of video where the man is like smiling and saying, oh, I will take away your peace. I will give you trouble, I will let you sleep, I will do this, I will do that, and she still married him. And then there have been so many stories of how they met. I think allegedly he was a boat driver or an Uber driver, and she had booked his ride, and one thing led to another. People have used this case to talk about, oh, this is why women shouldn't marry down, blah 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 blah. But it still doesn't make sense as attributing it to the only reason or the only factor in this situation, because, bro, there are women who marry up and are still suffering domestic violence. So I don't think it's a matter of status or marrying down, marrying up. I don't think it's any of that. Violence, domestic violence, it cuts across all strata. So from the very impoverished families who are living in squalor to the elite, it is something that cuts across all walks of life, from the woman who is illiterate to the woman who is literate, from the woman who sells pepper to the woman who is brokering deals in the office. This is something that cuts across all kinds of women. I feel like it has more to do with, I would say, personal values. You just have to look at yourself and say, oh, I'm not going to condone this. And even if it happens, because sometimes you can only control your own reaction or your own actions, you can't control the actions of the other person, right? Because it's something that usually happens. You say something, they give you bash, right? But even if it happens, it's a kind of thought where you just be like, you know what, I can't deal with this, I have to leave. Regardless of what people say, regardless of whatever investment you have sunk into the relationship, regardless of maybe your religion, your position, I'm going to walk away from this. I think that is something that is more or less an individual mindset. For example, you will see a pepper seller walk away from a DV situation, not necessarily because, but perhaps she just thought of herself and said, why should I be selling pepper, providing for my family, and I'm still going through this pain, I'm working out. And then you will see a medical doctor who doesn't even work out from a situation and dies in it. So I don't think it's a case of, oh, if you have money or if you have position, you are exempt from these scenarios happening, right? But at the same time, I'm trying to think and process this, because this is a conversation that is happening everywhere, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, and so many advice, I don't have any advice to give anybody, right? If it gets to the point where you want to leave a situation, I could support your decision, but I would not advise you about it. I would not advise you about it. For some people, it's just a case of battling my life versus my shame, my ego. If I come out to say this, people would always use it to laugh at me, people would always use it to talk against me. If I share this online, people would come and say, oh, look at you, blah blah blah. People would go back to my old videos or my old post and say, oh, but she was happy here, she was laughing here, ooh, so you were lying. So because of that, a lot of people up till now in big 2025, people are still going through these things and they're not saying anything. I think there was a particular lady on YouTube who has a channel that came out to talk about how her husband gave her a couple of STIs, he was cheating, and she was done with the marriage. That video, came with support, right? But it came with a lot of backlash. A lot of people were like, oh, look at you, you're coming out to say that your husband is giving you STI, and you're treating STI. You think you're doing him, you're not doing him, you're doing yourself. You're not doing him, you're doing yourself. You're doing yourself. And then this lady went on to delete all of the videos, delete everything, to move on from that. And people say, oh, internet, you don't know that this type of thing will haunt you. The internet never lies, it never sleeps, it never forgets. It keeps all the wrongs you have done. And then you see people who will say, okay, let me not talk about it. But I just feel like more women shouldn't know devils. I think that's what I would say, because this idea of the devil you know, you don't know a devil. That's just what I would say. Don't know a devil. Why are you knowing a devil? Why is a devil so close to you that you're very familiar? You know the devil in and out. Why? And then it's better than the angel you don't know. Why don't you know angels? Why don't you? Because I feel like it starts with even who you are familiar with. Eh? Anyways. Let me know what you think. Let me hear your opinions in the comment section. Till next time. Bye.